r/Nosleep. Posted by u/Lou_NS. There's something wrong with my neighbors, and I think I found out too late. 2 weeks ago, I would have told you that I had just moved to possibly the most boring town in Idaho. Picture dilapidated brick buildings almost crumbling into pothole-ridden streets. Throw in a worn-down antique store or two, and you've got yourself Main Street. But to me, it was a much-needed retirement from the big city life that I'd attended to for the past decade, and when my wife, Molly, wished to start a family, I looked no further than my childhood town. Sure, there wasn't much to do besides visit the 60-year-old theater or one of the many thrift stores, but that's what made the whole place so appealing to me. It was all I could wish for, a place that strayed far from the usual big city mayhem, some place where I could finally settle down. The strange occurrences began a few days after we had just moved in. Oddly enough, none of the neighbors ever came to introduce themselves, but I was so focused on unpacking that I had barely noticed. In fact, I had never even seen any of them. I knew there were people living in the houses surrounding ours, sometimes I would see their cars come and go, but it was as if they were ignoring us. One morning, I was in the garage assembling tools, and I had left the garage door open to let in some air. All of a sudden, I heard a knock from inside, and as Molly was out at work, I went back in to see who it was. But when I got to the front door, there was no one there. I circled the front yard searching for anyone, but whoever ding-dong-ditched had fled quickly. I could only attribute it to some bored neighborhood kids, so I returned back to the garage, only to discover something strange: my tools were missing. When Molly returned that evening, I never told her. It was my idea to move here, and I didn't want her regretting the choice so quickly. Besides, it was probably just bad luck, a one-time incident. I couldn't have been more wrong. It didn't take long for me to notice the other incidents. I would hear knocks throughout the day. After a while, I stopped bothering to check on them. But things worsened fast. Windows were open, screen doors left ajar, boxes searched. I could only ask my wife so many times if it was her, but she always told me no. At night, I could hear noises from downstairs, and with Molly sleeping next to me, I could only picture the worst. Some nights, I would wait in the living room for them, but the people would never reveal themselves, and instead, would repeatedly knock on the front and back doors until I had no choice but to retire back to sleep. I tried calling the police multiple times, but the odd thing was, they would never pick up. I knew there was a police station, and sometimes I would make the drive downtown to personally complain, but every time I showed up, there was nobody there. The strange part was, when I would drive past it otherwise, I could see people inside. It was like they were alienating me. After a week of this, I decided to order a set of cameras to install around the house. The delivery date, however, was 5 days away, so I was left to my own devices when it came to catching whoever was entering my home. I visited each one of the houses in my neighborhood to try to find the parent of the bored kid behind this, but my knocks were left unanswered. In fact, there was not a single person walking around outside, there was nobody. But I could see shadows move around in the windows, laughter escaping gated-off backyards, lights turn on and off. I never asked Molly if she was experiencing it. I'm sure if she was, she would have told me, and I didn't want to risk scaring her over something so harmless. I could already hear her attributing it to my sleepwalking, or something stupid like that. Unfortunately, I could never prove it to her, either. The knocks only came when she was asleep, or at work. It was like they knew I was alone. One afternoon, I saw a person standing at the corner of my yard. It was the first person I had seen in the neighborhood, a short, black-haired man, but something was incredibly off about him. He stood slouched, like he was bending back, and the strange, gray coat that fell to his knees made him look much larger than I'm sure he was. But the worst part about him was the blankness in his eyes, something I could catch from the living room window, and his uneven teeth, which he exposed by leaving his mouth hung open a little too far. The man didn't do anything but watch me, hands stuffed in his coat pockets, dark eyes set on the window. I attempted to summon some courage to walk outside and greet him, but something about him prevented me from even moving. With one eye left on him, I closed the blinds before confirming that every window and door in the house was locked. That was yesterday. Fortunately, I haven't seen him since, and the knocking has stopped. While the stress has finally subsided, I didn't have much time to redirect my attention to Molly, as she left for a business trip an hour ago. I was so close to asking her to cancel, but I knew I would never be able to explain everything without her pinning it on paranoia. As I settle down in bed, I can only hope that the night will be uneventful, but I keep picturing the man in my yard, watching me. I lift myself out of my bed to check the window, even though I know I'm just being scared. But he's standing there. This time closer, right outside my front door. I barely have time to react before I hear the door downstairs creak open, and footsteps enter the hallway. It doesn't take long for the steps to find the stairs, and they climb them slowly. I'm just able to hide under my bed before I hear something at the door. It's a knock. Next story of this video posted by you/Lou_NS. I looked up my name on Twitch, and found a live recording of me. I wish I could tell you why I was stupid enough to look up my name in the search bar. Maybe it was dumb curiosity, or the result of boredom after spending hours mindlessly sifting through channels, but what I found was worse than what I could have ever imagined. It was a live recording of me. Louis, redacted, July 19, 2021, final just chatting 2,401 viewers. The camera was outside, in my front yard, pointed straight at my bedroom window. After a moment, the angle changed, and the camera was hooked to the wall outside, looking through the window by my desk. Then the screen cut again, back to the front yard. I felt a sense of dread wash over me. I clicked on the channel for any possible explanation, but instead, it only raised more questions. Videos spanned back months, accumulating hundreds of hours of streams of no one else but me. From the thumbnails, I could make out myself in the window, or outside, oblivious to the thousands of people watching me. I couldn't believe it. I shifted my cursor to the About section. Hello. If you're looking for the address, it can be granted with any amount donation. Thank you for the support as it keeps the stream going. It was then I found the sense to get up and move to my windows, which I covered with blankets. I went to grab my phone from the desk, when I saw something shift on my monitor. The recording angle changed again, and was now in my room, directed right at me. I looked at the camera, and found it mounted to the ceiling, hidden behind a fan blade. The discovery sent me out of my bedroom and downstairs, where I grabbed my keys and took off to my car. There was no way I was staying in my house anymore. My only focus was driving as far away as possible. The realization of being watched is a feeling that isn't easily outmatched, and I couldn't shake the suspicion that whoever was behind the stream was lurking nearby. I figured that I would be able to call authorities when I made it to the next town over. I wish I could say I had. When I made it onto the dirt road escaping my house, the car suddenly sputtered, and the steering wheel started to shake. I was just far enough from my home that I gained the nerve to quickly jump out of my car to find the issue, but instead, I came upon another horrible discovery: my tires were punctured. I knew they couldn't have been this way when I left, so whoever was behind the stream must have placed something along the road to prevent me from leaving. I called the police about 20 minutes ago, but they told me that it will take them a while to come out this far to investigate. If anyone has any advice for me, I could really use it, because I heard some noises coming from down the road. I don't think it's the cops.